Hey there, friends. Welcome to the Having a Mom Moment podcast, where we dive deep into the world of motherhood and beyond. I'm your host, Shannon Warner, and I am excited to embark on this journey with all of you. Here's the deal. This podcast is your ultimate sanctuary, your sacred space to hit pause on the chaos of mom life and reconnect with the amazing woman behind the title of mom. Yep, it's all about those precious mom moments because, let's face it, we all need a little more time for ourselves. Am I right? So what can you expect from our time together? Well, picture this. We'll be soaking up wisdom from fellow moms, sharing their stories and triumphs and how they've tapped into alignment on their own motherhood journeys. It's like a mom-to-mom chat over coffee, with a sprinkle of inspiration and a dash of humor thrown in for good measure. We're here to light up your soul, to remind you of your incredible power, and to celebrate the unique spark that makes you, you. Because when we take care of ourselves, we become unstoppable forces for good in the lives of those we love. So join me as we laugh, learn, and rediscover the magic of this crazy ride called motherhood together. Get ready for your weekly dose of connection and encouragement, because around here, we don't just mom. We mom with purpose and power in alignment with our true selves. Stay tuned, my friends. The adventure starts now. Welcome to the podcast, Laura. Thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
I'm excited, and Lauren is joining us from across the pond, and it is early nighttime for you. So thank you so much for accommodating the schedule. I appreciate you.
That's absolutely fine.
Okay, so I am so excited that you're here, and I'm so glad that we bumped into each other. I never think that it's a coincidence. I think these things always align the way they're supposed to. And Laura and I are in an accountability group together that another fabulous woman has organized and has been hosting, and we appreciate her so much. But after meeting you ladies, I was like, please be on my podcast. And you jumped at the opportunities. So would you mind sharing a bit about your motherhood experience and the things that you're up against and why you're here, what you want to share with us today?
So, motherhood is literally the best thing I've ever done. It's the best. I know it takes up every inch of your life and your time and all the rest of it, but it is, I wouldn't swap it for the world. My elder daughter is nearly 14, which scares me because we're getting into that teenage time. That fear for me is that we're just trying to keep everything really honest and really open. And I'm hoping if I lead by example, then fingers crossed that'll carry on through and everything will be rosy. So yeah, that's the next challenge. My little one is she's going to be 9 in October, which terrifies me because she's my baby. But they're both amazing. They're just amazing. I love spending time with them. We're really close knit, and we're just together all the time, and we live by the beach, so we go down to the beach quite a lot and walk. And yeah, I love it. I wouldn't swap it for the world, even if it meant I could go on more holidays and I could travel more and have more freedom and all the rest of it, all those things that I do want. I wouldn't do it right now. I try and drag the kids with me. My eldest one says absolutely not. My little one's like, yeah, let's go. So it's quite
Oh
amusing.
gosh. I hope we can stay connected as mine get older because we have, I think, the same age gap. Mine are just under
Yeah,
5 years apart.
that's
So
it.
I know it's going to be interesting as
Yeah.
one enters those teenage years, how the other one responds to
Well,
that.
I'll let you know how it
Yeah.
goes. I'm hoping it'll be fine. The little one's definitely got more attitude than the big one had when she was her age. So not in a bad way. She's just sassy. She's a little sassy pants. But I think
Oh,
that's with girls as well, isn't it?
yeah. I used to say about my oldest, I was like, she doesn't take anybody's shit, which I appreciated. But it was like a role reversal. This is a totally different animal with this now 2.5-year-old. I was like, oh, no,
Yeah.
no, no, no. This one literally will not take anything from anybody if she's not interested. Like she will just straight up scream in your face, like just scream if you tell her
Yeah.
to do something she doesn't want to do.
Yeah.
So
Mine's the
that's
same.
that's an
The little
experience.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally different. They're so totally different. And I sometimes look at people's children who, look the same. You can tell they're sisters or brother and sister or whatever. And
Yeah.
mine just don't. They just
Okay.
they're completely different. And it's
That's so
amazing, isn't it,
funny.
that they can come from the same two people and just be such different little creatures. So
Mm.
yeah, they are amazing. I love them.
Yeah. Well,
Great. Yeah.
thank God for it, right?
I
And
know. You.
my dad always used to say, God makes them cute so you don't kill them. And
That's
I was
it.
like,
I say that all the time.
I'm like, oh, there is some truth to that.
There is.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh my gosh. I don't know about you though, but I look at them sometimes. I'm like, oh, you're just like the most magical, mystical little being
Yeah.
ever. And I'm just like so grateful that you're mine. But also
Yeah.
please eat your dinner.
Yeah. Please go to bed. Please stop talking. Please stop singing the same two lines over and over again. Please.
Right.
Just
Anything. Anything.
talking
Right.
incessantly.
I know. I remember when my oldest was like 2, like just starting to talk, and I was like, I am
Oh,
so excited for this. She was in the back seat. We were driving around, and my husband was like, you're gonna regret that. And I swear she never stopped. Like she's been talking nonstop for 5+ years. It's like, oh, I love you so much, but
yeah.
shh.
Please. Just be quiet. Yeah. Yeah. No,
Oh
I
my
think,
God.
well, very similar experiences. And you've got two girls as well, so that's nice. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
lovely.
But like wanting to hold space for them to like use their voice and not,
Yeah.
it's hard. It's like, I love you and I want you to speak
Yeah.
and share your thoughts and share your dreams and like speak up for yourself, but also I have a headache and we could just put a pin in that for
Yeah,
today.
put a pin in it. Yeah. I think that's something that I've been really conscious of as well, is just making sure that they really feel heard when I mean, obviously there's the times that we were just talking about, but when there's something that's important or something that's come up, I definitely try and make that time to actually sit and really look at them. And I'm not on my phone and I've not got the telly on or whatever, whether it's in their room or just wherever we are, just get down to their level, especially my smaller one. So I'm looking at her in the face and just asking her, you know, what is it? What's happening? And the little one's really sensory, and she gets overwhelmed, and totally different character to my elder one. He's very controlled and very self-sufficient. But you really have to let my younger daughter process. She needs a little bit of time to process. So yeah, that's something that it was a real learning curve for me, because especially with Lucy, my first one coming along, and she was so easy. She slept like a dream, she was happy, jolly all the time. She wanted to play with you all the time. She was pretty articulate, pretty young. And then Emmy was an explosion and amazing, full of like imagination, and but totally gets in her head, and really this sort of overwhelm and sensory stuff going on, and learning how to work with her, if you like, instead of me like expecting her to do like when we were brought up. It's like, children, do what you're told. I want you to go and brush your teeth. And it's like your expectation is that they're going to go and brush their teeth, but she doesn't work like that. So it has to be a totally different approach, So it's been lovely, and our relationship's so lovely because of that. And I think it's that flexibility, isn't it? Having that flexibility to, as a parent, to notice and to change what you're doing and to try and meet their needs, as opposed to expecting them to just do as they're told, and children should be seen and not heard and all of that sort of thing. So I'm hoping that's going to really help her as she grows, and just trying to identify feelings and things. She's getting better at it, but like there was this total meltdown, like you just said about your daughter, and like not taking anything, I can't cope, that's how it came out. So because she's nearly 9, like we have to have the conversation about, you're nearly 9, you can't respond like this now because you're not a baby anymore. And we've done quite a lot of work with her over the last few months, just trying to help her to identify and articulate how she's actually feeling. It doesn't come out immediately. I'm not going to say it's perfect, Shannon, but if you give her a minute to calm down, and sort of you have to cuddle her so she can decompress, and then you can talk to her. You can't shout at her while she's like in this heightened, dysregulated state. You have to let her come down. So that's a challenge. That's been a challenge of motherhood, but amazing at the same time. It's learning. And I was a teacher for 17 years. I was teaching secondary school children, and it was always really important for me to make sure that they were heard and all the rest of it. And so a lot of my sort of intuition for helping Emmy, I think, came from me going, do you know what, this isn't working with this child, I have to change what I'm doing. And that's like when you're at school, like me shouting at this child isn't having any effect. They're still being awful in my lesson.
Right.
So I have to talk to them differently, right? So yeah. It's been interesting.
We're all trying to get through the experience alive.
Yeah, that's it.
First of all, also a former educator, not as long. I maxed out at about 5 years when I left and said no thank you. But I keep bumping into teachers or former teachers. There's been a lot of former teachers on the podcast. It's very, very interesting. And 2, my oldest, who her name is Emerson, but we call her Emmy. So this is really interesting.
That's nice.
She has had not like a formal diagnosis, but sensory things as well. And her issue is clothing. And like would meltdown, like getting her dressed in the morning used to be such a battle. And we got her into occupational therapy, and it has helped immensely. But not only her, but me as well. It helped. Her occupational therapist was like, this is the way her brain is wired. And, you're like, oh, that's uncomfortable. Her system goes into overdrive. And let's think about how you're handling it as well. And there's a lot of learning there. And I also think, like you said, with your experience, it allowed you to better navigate this with her. I don't think it's any mistake that we get the children that we get who have the things that they have, right? I think it's very intentional, even if sometimes we're like, why? But yeah, a lot of similarities there. So I see you for sure.
Yeah. It's fun though. She's very fun. They both are. I feel bad that I'm not talking about Lucy, but they're both really fun.
Yeah. You've got this added layer though on top of parenting that a lot of us don't experience, of chronic illness. Would you mind sharing more about your experience and the kind of battles that you're working through on top of parenting and building a business and hosting your own podcast and all of the things? I'm sure you've got so many feathers in your cap, so you've got a lot.
Yes, I have actually 2 chronic illnesses, which I've been talking about them a lot recently, which is really quite a cathartic process for me, but also really confronting because obviously there's a lot of emotion and repressed trauma actually in there, because you basically have to pick yourself up and get on with it. You can't just stop. Especially when you're a mum, you can't just stop. So back in 2009, I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease, which is an autoimmune condition which affects the gut, just in case anybody doesn't know what that is. So I have a lot of pain, inflammation. It can lead to like sticky gut syndrome, which disgustingly is where your gut can leak into other areas of your body. So all of these things. But I have spent periods of time in hospital and things like that. And so obviously that has it's really difficult because you're in the moment dealing with the fact that you're in pain and you can't, like, literally can't do anything. And all you need is, well, normally they give me some morphine and it knocks me out and then I'm okay, and I have to go on steroids and things like that to bring the inflammation down. But really, to consider is like how that affects what they witness at home. And that upsets me, because obviously seeing your mum like that must be really difficult. And I have spoken to them about it a few times, and equally for my husband. I mean, I can't imagine like being the partner of me because it must be really difficult to support me all the time. But we had spoken to it about it with the kids. And actually, you know, I asked my children about this not so long ago, like quite recently, because one of my podcasts that's coming up is about, you know, the kids and how you deal with the kids. And I'm basically just really honest. I'm actually really bad at not being honest. So if I was not to tell the truth, I would be really uncomfortable, and you'd be able to tell that I was really uncomfortable. So I'm just really honest with them and talk to them about what's happening, and they know when I've got to take medication, and they know when I'm feeling tired, or they know when my stomach's hurting, all this sort of stuff. And they're amazing. You know, they're really supportive, they're lovely, they can cope with it. They say things to me like, "You can't help it, mummy, it's just the way your tummy is." And it's just so lovely to have that sort of, phew, thanks so much. I feel a bit better that I'm not, you know, making things difficult for you. So that's my first chronic illness. My second chronic illness is actually the one that totally changed my world, in that I couldn't continue. So with Crohn's, I continued being a teacher, I continued as normal with my career, all the rest of it. And then in 2019, I got a virus, which didn't really feel like much of anything at the time, but it sort of developed into facial pain. So I have, it started with a really bad earache, and the pain spread down the right hand side of my face. And then apparently the brain doesn't like to do things on one side, and if it's on one side, it wants to do it on the other. So I now have it on both sides of my face. And this, obviously, being a teacher, is really difficult because of talking all day, and I had a lot of sensory issues going on with it, which was really difficult as well. So it came to a point where I couldn't continue, and nobody knew what was wrong with me, which was really difficult as well, because I've had no brain injury, you know, I haven't had any bad dental work, there's nothing that's damaged the nerves in my face, but they just are getting the wrong signals. And because of that, it was a lot of, am I imagining this? Like, what am I making this happen to myself? I don't understand what's going on, you know, why is this hurting? And the doctors didn't know, and I got passed from pillar to post, all these different doctors, and eventually found one in London who gave me some medication that has made a difference to me, and is meaning that I can live more how I want to live. Because actually at one point, obviously mentally very difficult since 2019, massive dips in my mental health and how I was dealing with things and not dealing with things, as the case may be, like not being there for the kids properly, and or my husband or my job. So yeah, really, really tricky. And since I found this doctor, who was in May 2023, I think I saw him, so 4 years after, or 3.5 years after I got this medication, and he just said, "Look, we don't understand it yet. That's why nobody can tell you, because it's all to do with biology, it's all to do with chemicals, and we don't understand it. So basically, it's just a pain management thing now."
Wow.
That's where I am. And January, when I started to feel better, was when I decided that I could go back and try and do something business-wise, because I had been feeling like I couldn't achieve my dreams, I couldn't achieve my ambitions, I had to make my life small because I couldn't manage, and having this medication's really helped. I've done a lot of work on my self and my thought processes and how I deal with responding to things and processing things, and the sort of things that I read. Like, I surround myself with affirmations all the time, so positivity, and keep in touch with the people who keep me happy, and sort of let the people go or the conversations go that are difficult. But all of that obviously is a total constant work. Like, you're always having to deal with difficult things come up, and you have, like, I get, obviously I still get cross, I still get angry, I still get emotional and all the rest of it, about certain situations that I feel are unfair, or people who are being difficult. And I think I have to take a step back and I cool down, and then I go through this process of stuff that I've been helping myself with, like sitting in emotions that are good and calm and peaceful, and not sitting in emotions that are angry and difficult. And so yeah, I've been doing that, and that meant that in January my word for the year was brave. So I decided to be brave and start putting myself out there again, because I had a business previously which I had to shut down when all of the virus started. So yeah, there you go.
Wow. I can't imagine consistently feeling poorly, because we've
Yeah,
all been there as moms where we've been sick and still have had to show up either to work and then with our children and
yeah,
everything else. I can't imagine chronically
yeah,
feeling that way. And the mental toll that it would take, absolutely. That is a huge piece of it.
yeah,
And I commend you. I mean, I know you have no choice but to continue to go, but
yeah,
to come back from what you said, you've had to make your world small like that.
yeah.
That hurt my heart to
I
hear
know.
that, because I feel like I'm always like, I want to play bigger. I want to be bigger. I've been small for so long because I thought this was the role in the box that I was supposed
Yeah.
to fit in. So to like consciously have to shrink yourself to survive has to be really challenging.
Yeah. Yeah, it was horrible, because everything inside me was like, no, I want to do more. I've got so much more in me. I've got so much more to give. I don't want to sit in a 9 to 5 and just, that be it. And I'm looking around me at other people, and I'm like, other people are happy. Other people are just trundling along and they're fine. And why can I not be? Why is this not something that I can just sit and be? And I just can't. It's just not me. And it's not you either, right?
Yeah.
Because you need to do more. And that's just, I guess it's just the way we're built, is just, there's more, there's got to be more. And yeah, so yes, especially after I'd been building up stuff before this illness, and was making my world bigger, because my world felt small as a teacher. I was like so frustrated. And then suddenly I started new businesses and I joined FEA, and I was, stuff felt bigger and exciting, and the world was big, and I had connections and all the rest of it. And then, yeah, make it small again.
Oh no. Oh no.
Yes.
Do you think being part of FEA and those different things helped you through it at all, or did you kind of have to tune it out?
Um, it helped me when I was trying to build my business, because the women in there are so amazing. I just
Amazing.
love that everybody has this drive and this positivity and supporting each other. And I love that. When I was really struggling with my mental health, I was, I mean, I was not engaging. I was not engaging with people. I was not engaging with anything like that. And actually, I was really paranoid and sort of frightened of, I don't know, it's weird, isn't it? Your brain is so powerful, and it does, your thoughts can just take over. And yeah, so I wasn't in that world at the time, and I really wanted, like, I desperately inside me was screaming that I wanted someone to pull me out, but I wasn't articulating that. So nobody knew that they needed to reach in and pull me out. And so one day I was just like, I need to pull myself out. And I managed it, actually. But it's hard. It was scary. I was scared of it. So,
Mm,
yeah, and that's when I
yeah.
started engaging again. And yes, my connections in FBA, from being in it since, I think I joined in like 2020, actually. Um, the connections in there and the women in there, just so supportive and so amazing. I just love that community.
They're so great. They're so great. And
Yeah.
I think this is the first time I've talked about it on this podcast. It's the Female Entrepreneurship Association, which my friend Catherine Pfeiffer, who had been on earlier this year on the podcast, I didn't know about it until the fall. And she was like, I think you would love it. I think you really like this would be really helpful in your next steps. And at the time, the enrollment was not open. And I was like, oh no, it sounds amazing, but I couldn't get in. And then
Yeah.
I think it was was it earlier this year? I think it was January when they opened back up and I jumped in as quickly as I could. But I just echo everything that you said. And I, to the listeners, if you don't have a community, find a community, and these online communities are just as good as in-person communities if you don't have people in your area. And I have met some of the most incredible women. You think you're joining, for business. And then next thing you know, someone's talking to you about like the inner workings of something else, and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
wow, I didn't know I needed to hear that today, but thank you so much. I got off a networking call. It was probably maybe 3 or 4 months ago and was not expecting it, but just like ended up bawling my eyes out because one woman in particular just like spoke right to my soul. And then she was like, oh,
Oh,
honey, you need a hug, and like hugged her monitor to like give me a virtual hug. And like, it's funny, but
that's
it was
amazing.
exactly what I needed. And
Yeah.
it's really beautiful, magical space. So
Yeah. And it just even like making connections with you, like I would never have met
right.
you if we hadn't crossed paths in this way. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? The world
Yeah.
is wide, right?
I
And
know. Oh, and the woman whose episode aired this week, her name is Dr. Lakshini Gunasiri. She had her like PR person reach out to me and we connected. So I was looking her up, trying to see if I could find her. And I ended up realizing through searching through Facebook, she's also an FEA. And
yeah.
she had just published a book and she had shared about it in the group. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is incredible.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of fun. It's good stuff.
That's amazing. Yeah,
Yes.
it really is. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So, what direction are you headed in now with your business?
What I've decided to do is I really want to help people like me. So mums who have chronic illness, but really are dying to be more still and don't want to live small. So exactly this sort of experience that I've been through. And just I have the job I went into after teaching was teaching digital marketing because I'd learned quite a lot um whilst I was building my original business and using like courses like FEA and Brandon Lucero and Amy Porterfield and all the rest, all these amazing entrepreneurs. And so I learned a lot. And then I started teaching digital marketing online. And so I want to incorporate that into the business. So I want to help women who are juggling all of these real normal life things, so the kids, the job, the husband, the pets, whatever you have, but then having this extra layer, as you said, of this chronic illness on top of it, and how to manage that, because chronic illness isn't there's a lot of layers that come with that, as well as me being in pain and having Crohn's. There's a lot of layers in that. There's doctor's appointments, there's doctors to find, prescriptions to pick up, prescriptions to organize. It's just that it's constant. Like there isn't like a 6-month period where you don't have to do this. So managing that on top of all the clubs and stuff we were talking about earlier, the kids after school clubs and being at school and friends and all the rest of it, and doing your 9 to 5 job, it's a challenge. It's a challenge. So that's what I want to help with. So I want to help women who feel like they can't or are stuck, maybe a little bit stuck. They want more. I'm helping with the mindset side of things. So like thinking about boundaries and thinking about, trying to meet your own needs so that you feel like you can give to your children, and, acceptance of the fact that you have this illness. It is chronic. It's probably never going to go away. And trying to negotiate life around that, but then also help them with their business. So once we've got through that sort of process of acceptance, which is a lot about what the podcast talks about and supporting people's journeys, currently it is just me talking about my experiences, hoping to resonate with people and make people feel like they're not so alone, because I felt pretty alone, if I'm honest. So talking about those things and then moving them to feeling confident enough to start their businesses and get going with some digital marketing and getting business advice from me and digital marketing advice from me. So hopefully building a community where people understand each other on that extra level, as well as just being entrepreneurs and female business owners.
Mm. What are a couple of tips that you might have for someone who, knows that they've got something bigger waiting for them, maybe doesn't know what it is, but kind of managing their own expectations of moving through that when they do have this added layer of this unpredictable, at times, chronic illness?
I think there has to be a lot of self-forgiveness, because there are, as women and as mothers, a lot of the time you are giving so much of yourself away all the time, and you come 9th, 10th, 20th down the list, and there's always this feeling in us that, oh God, I should be doing that, I should be doing this, I should be doing whatever. I've got 5 minutes spare, but I'm so tired, but actually I should be sort of, doing the vacuuming, or I should be washing up. And actually, for everybody, anybody out there, if you're tired, you need to take a break. But on top of being normally tired, if your illness is not great at the moment and you are really tired, all you're going to do is make it worse. So giving yourself permission to actually stop. So if you need a nap, you need a nap. Now, I'm not a person who naps in the afternoon, but when I have a nap in the afternoon, it's because I really need it. And I say to my husband, oh my God, I'm so sorry I fell asleep. And he's just like, I know you need it if you've fallen asleep, because it's not something that you do. So I think there's that forgiveness of yourself that you didn't do the washing up or do the laundry, at that time, and sort of giving yourself a bit of a break and not giving yourself a hard time about it. So that's one thing, is just self-forgiveness. The other thing I do is make sure that I find time to do the things that make me feel good. So, and also find joy. Joy was not something that was big in my life when I was struggling mentally, because, you're down in your thoughts. My thoughts spiraled a lot. And actually noticing little bits of joy around you, because they're happening all the time. There's little moments of joy all the time, especially when you've got children. I mean, they're so joyful. But noticing them is different to them just being there. So I actually have 2 podcasts, and the second one is all about little things that you can do in your day to feel some joy, because as soon as you start, it gets easier. As soon as you start noticing it, you notice more and more, and all of those little moments of joy then become you feeling happier. So that's my other tip, I think, is just doing little things. Like I do things sometimes, like I go outside and just take a really deep breath, like sniff in of air, like, and I think I've got a really good sense of smell, or a strong sense of smell. So I'm always like, I love the smell of that tree. I love the smell. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So just even taking that moment to just stand still and just go, and sort of thinking, that feels really nice. Yeah. I mean, that takes 2 seconds, but it's, if you actually acknowledge that that's happened, a little bit of joy.
Yeah.
So
I've certainly been in the headspace in the past where if I had heard this, I would have thought, you want me to do what? What is that going to help? But it's just like when you're having a bad day and you're thinking, what else could go wrong? Inevitably, 4 more things happen that are not your preference, right? If you're looking for it, you're going to find it. So same thing with the joy piece. And yeah, I so hear you with the kids. As much as we know there's both sides. There's a full spectrum of experience with your children. But I had a moment, I think it was last Friday, and beautiful weather, and I rolled the windows down, which I love to do. My husband does not like to roll the windows down, but I enjoy it. Had both of my girls in the back seat, and I forgot what we were listening to. I'm sure it was something Disney related, and rolled down the window, cranked up the
Oh,
music,
no.
and my little one was just like singing her heart out. And I just caught a glimpse of it in the mirror, and I was like, I want to remember this forever. Like, this is
Yeah.
everything. This is everything. And
Yeah.
I never saw myself being that mom. You know, I was deep in my own bullshit for a long time where I was like,
Yeah.
everything sucks. I hate everything. Even in the early years of my first daughter being here. And I hold space for that experience, and I give myself, old me, a lot of grace. But it's like I robbed myself of those joyful
Yeah.
moments of those first couple years, you know? So I know if you're like in the pits of despair, you're thinking, Shannon, Laura, I don't want to go smell a tree. Thank you so much. But, you know, there's other things you can do. Once you start, it definitely
Yeah.
snowballs. Yeah.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just need to give yourself permission. I know you're probably doing exactly that. Like, oh my God, this sounds so stupid. But if you just go, do you know what? I'm just going to try it. And yes, it does snowball, and it does become something that you just start doing. And then it just, you know, mentally it goes uphill and gets better. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And the whole idea too of like moving up the emotional scale, like if you're in despair, and I don't know the names in order of the different emotions,
No.
you know, on the spectrum, but just pulling yourself up like a half step. And
Yeah.
maybe another
Yeah.
half step. You don't have to go from everything is terrible to, oh my gosh, everything is amazing. It's so great. Everything's fine, because we know that's not reality either, right? And then we're
No.
just bypassing our junk, which doesn't solve the problem in the long run. But yeah, just taking the steps to get just a little higher
A
is
little
so
bit.
helpful.
Yeah.
It's so helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, this is our experience. And this is like my mission lately, is to be incredibly intentional with my own time, but encouraging other people to like really be mindful of how we're moving through our days and how can we make it as great as possible for ourselves, because we're the ones that we have to live with at the end of the day,
Yeah.
right? Like, there are
Yeah.
things that are out of our control, but it is up to us how we move through our experiences. And I'm choosing joy. When I can, I'm going to choose joy.
Joy and kindness, Shannon.
Yeah.
That's where I am. Yeah, just be kind. I totally agree with everything you just said there, and that was so nice. Yeah.
We need a lot of kindness, especially over here in the States. Things get a little crazy leading up to
I
election
think it's
season. So yes, yes.
ah.
We won't go there, but
a lot going on.
yeah,
No, let's
yeah,
not.
we won't go there. But it's, yeah, like,
Complicated.
lead with kindness, friends.
Yes. Well, wouldn't the world be a better place
I know.
if we did?
I
I
know.
think women should run the world, to be fair. I think if women were in charge, everything would be so much better.
Oh yeah.
I think we're powerhouses.
I've said this too. I'm like, if we would get out of our own way, it would be game over. It would be game over. If we all just decided like October 1st, like, forget it. I'm setting down all the limiting beliefs and setting down all my own bullshit.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to do
Yeah.
the things that feel aligned for me and stop listening to mostly the men who are making the rules and
Yeah.
things. Like, I think it would be a different world in 30 days, but it's me.
Yeah. That was all it would take. 30 days. Done.
Right? All right. Like, and we'll do it with the babies, you know, with the kids running around
Yeah.
and, you know, dealing
And
with
the
our stuff.
laundry.
Yeah, the laundry,
washing up.
right? And our cycles and all the things. Like, we'll still
Yeah.
get it done, because
Yeah.
that's what we do, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that is.
And that's, I think too, like, give yourself so much grace, but also like, please don't underestimate what you're capable of, because if it seems like, oh, I can't do that right now. Well, maybe not today, maybe not this week, but what if you just took steps? What could you accomplish in a year? I look back over the last year and it feels like I was standing still sometimes, but I'm like, oh my gosh, I've done so much, and I've met so many people, and I've made so many connections, and have found so much joy in the process.
Yeah, I think a lot of women underestimate themselves. I definitely do. I have moments where I'm like, I can do this, I've got so much more of me and all the rest of it. And then it's like, oh, I'm scared, I don't know what to do. So it is a lot, isn't it? I mean, that there is a lot around the bravery piece, and, you know, trying to just push that a little bit further forward. But then, you know, I do those little steps and I meet people like you, and then I come on your podcast and then we chat about stuff, and you know, it all little bits and little bits and little bits, isn't it? So yeah.
I like replace the track in my head when I get nervous or scared to do something and I need to muster up some courage. I always think, first, what would a mediocre white man do? Because they'd be like, I got this. I'm amazing. I remind myself that there are people far dumber than me out there already doing the thing. And then lastly, no one's actually thinking about me. Like, really, when it comes down to it, like if I put something out there and I'm like, it's a blip in our world, the way we are constantly being bombarded with content, like it's a blip. It is a literal blip on someone else's radar if they see it at all. So like, say the thing, put it out there.
I like the comparison to the mediocre white man. That's great. I'm going to start using that. I'm going to start using, I might even use it with my daughter and just let her know, you know, what would a mediocre white man do? Better, better than him. I am constantly telling them that, you know, women rule and we are strong, independent, intelligent women, and, you know, we can do anything. So yeah, I'm gonna weave that one in as well.
And I love men. I am not a man hater, and you know, like I had amazing men in my family, and I married a good one. There are a whole lot of men out there who think that they are a lot more amazing than they actually are, and they show up with all of their confidence and just do the thing. So just tap into that energy.
Well, they say that I read this stat recently that when there's a job, people applying for jobs, women wait until they feel like they can do 100% of the spec of the things that are on the job, whereas a man will apply with only 60%. So that's like, that says a lot to me. And I was suddenly like, oh my goodness, like, what am I doing? Because I was always like, I can't do that bit. I can't do that bit. I can't apply for this. I don't think I can do it. Whereas, why not? They do it. They apply. Why can't I just apply? So all they can do is say no, right? And I think that's a total change of perspective on stuff as well, you know. Same with being an entrepreneur. If you ask somebody something, all they can do is say no. So
and let them say no. Like, we need to stop rejecting ourselves. Give them the opportunity to tell us no. That's their job, not ours, right? So where are we rejecting ourselves in our day-to-day lives? Let's ponder on that, listeners, because we all do it. We're like, oh no, I could never. Do it. Who cares, right? Who cares at the end of the day?
I think that's changed a lot for me as well with sorry to make it a bit more serious again, but I think, you know, all the things with the illnesses and stuff has really changed how I view what we do. Like, I'm like, we need to just go on holiday. We need to just go do that thing. Why are we, you know, what are we waiting for? You never know what's going to happen. And it just you know, I really feel the need to sort of seize life and make sure that I'm doing the things that make me feel good and not getting stuck in the things that make me feel bad. So, you know, walking away from situations, like I said before, that don't feel good for you and, you know, healthy for you. And I spent years, Shannon, in a career where I never did that. You know, so many situations being a school teacher where you're judged and you know, put down, and you're constantly striving to prove yourself all the time. And that was how I was brought up. You know, you get educated, you get a career, and you work really hard. And actually, I worked really, really hard. I got ill and they didn't want me, even though I had worked so hard and so brilliantly for them for so many years. It didn't, you know, it didn't count in the end. There wasn't the support and stuff there. So that was so difficult because you feel, you know, you're just thrown away. So so difficult. So that shift to doing stuff that makes you feel good has been quite life-changing, to be honest, for me.
I see you. Do you think that, and I don't know the timeline of your career with Crohn, wouldn't you say Crohn's you were diagnosed?
Yeah, in 2009.
Okay. So were you teaching at that time?
Yeah, 17 years. Yeah, I finished in 2000. I finished at school in 2002 with all my face stuff. And
okay. So do you think your time in the classroom and all of the responsibilities, I can only speak from the perspective of a US teacher, and I know that there's a lot on our plates and not a lot of appreciation, but do you think that exacerbated your illness?
I don't think it helped
Right.
at all. I think because there's a lot of stress, and stress is really bad for Crohn's. And I know that my face is worse when I'm stressed because you're tense, right? And so you tense up. So yes, of course, yeah, it didn't help. And also the fact that I felt that I was letting everybody down, and I'm not good at that because I don't like to let people down, especially the kids. That's the reason you're there, really. And I I found that really, really difficult. Yeah.
I see you. I was doing a lot. I worked at a charter school, which is kind of a confusing concept. If it's even confusing for people here in the States. It's a public school, but you're kind of operating like a business because you don't get dollars to run unless you have butts in seats. So you're
Okay.
always trying to like bring kids in and keep their parents happy so that they keep them in the school and don't send them to the elementary school down the road. So there was a lot
Okay.
on our plate, and I just kept being handed things, and I didn't know how to say no, and I didn't want to let anybody down. And I was like, of course I do the things. This is what I do. This is who I am. I do a good job. And at the end, I remember my dad, I was calling him crying either on the way to or on the way home from work. And he was like, you have to leave. You are going to die if you continue on this trajectory, and it was starting to manifest physically and not to the extent that you've experienced, but yeah, it's
Mm.
so true. So I hope anyone who is noticing patterns with anything in their life, an employer or a relationship or something where you're like, oh my God, this is not serving me. This is not healthy for me. Like,
Yeah.
let it go. Cause like you said, at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, it will leave you before you make the choice to leave it. And
Yeah.
and you're, just where you are. I got laid off last year at a company that I worked for after I left teaching for 8 years. We were like a family, like quote, we're family, that nonsense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
the numbers weren't working, and they were like, nice to know you. That was it.
Yeah. Well, you buy into it as well,
Yeah. Oh,
don't you? You buy
yeah.
into the we are a
Oh,
family, and
yeah.
you work really hard and you care about it. And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's difficult.
Mm-hmm. So that's why you like absolutely listeners have to prioritize yourself. You have to take care of yourselves,
Yes.
right? Like your
Yeah.
your health
Yeah.
is everything, especially if you're
Yes.
battling this. Like you have to protect your health, you have to protect your peace. And
Yeah.
it's not worth it. It's not worth it. My dad got cancer in his 50s, and he was very
Mm.
much like, you work really hard. He was in the trades. And so he did a lot of manual labor for a long time. That was nothing. Thankfully, they were able to remove his kidney and he was fine. But then it came back in his 60s and he died at 67. And ever since that happened, I'm just
Mm.
like, holy shit. Do I have 30 years left? Like,
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
do I want to spend, how do I want to spend it if that's all I have, right? If that, because, when it's your time, it's your time. And I
Yeah.
think when you have experiences like this, you look at things a little differently where you're like, huh,
Mm.
I really want to be mindful about what I'm allowing to be part of my journey for however long I'm here.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, it's true. Like I want to experience things with the children and give them, I think it's about experiences. Everything's about experiences. So, having those memories together. I mean, the stuff that I remember from being a kid is when we went on holiday and we had, time together. And you don't have to go anywhere amazing, but just going away and doing something different and, creating those memories together is really important. And just don't put it off. Just, don't put it off because you just don't know what's going to happen, like with your dad and with me. And yeah, I think it's really important, and definitely do the stuff that makes you happy.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
why I protect this podcast. I mean, it doesn't make me money, but just so much joy. The people I get to meet that I
Yeah.
would never get to meet otherwise, and to have these conversations. And then I get to put it out there and people enjoy them and have takeaways from them that help them live a better experience, which spills over into your children, spills over into your
Yeah.
marriage if you're married, and it spills over into all the areas. So
Yeah.
yeah, so important. Oh my gosh, I could talk to you all day, but I know it's getting late there. So please tell everybody where they can find you, follow you, listen to you, all the things.
Okay, so well, the podcast is everywhere, so you can listen to it on Apple, Spotify, wherever you like. It's pretty much on all the channels. So I'll give you some links for those if you
Yes,
don't mind. That
yes,
would be
they'll be in
great.
the show notes. Yeah.
I have a giveaway as well, which is I've called it a companion. It's a couple of tools that I used, which when I was finding things really difficult, really helped me. it's just two really simple processes to get the stuff out and help you feel calmer and clearer on what you want to do and deal with those negative emotions. So I've called it a mind rescue companion because I want it to be yours and not mine. I want it to be a companion to you that you can take with you. It's a toolkit. I'm not guiding you. So I can give you the link for that as well. And then you can find me. I'm on Facebook and Instagram. Yeah, I'm quite active there at the moment. So I've been trying really hard.
You have been. I saw you've been working. You've been doing it.
Yeah.
It's a battle.
So,
I know.
Exactly. My main podcast, which is called I Am Laura. Actually, my business is called I Am Laura, which I didn't mention, but it's because I didn't know what to call it when I was starting Being Brave in January. But ultimately, I've had to come to this acceptance and realization that I am Laura and this is me and this is my life and I need to embrace it. So that's what it's called.
I love
my
that.
podcast is Juggling Chronic Illness, Kids, a Job and a Dream. And then the one that's about joy is called A Sprinkle of Sunshine, Your Daily Dose of Joy.
I love the name. I love that you just owned it and you're giving a lot of people permission. I love to own themselves too, right? Like, friends, you are not here by mistake. So step into it and own it. I love that so much. And then I love a long podcast, obviously, but I also love these little like micro doses type things that you're doing. It's so helpful because I know how hard it is to find the time to like listen through a whole hour-long episode. So I love those little.
Yeah, they are little. I didn't mention that. Yeah, the main podcast is 10 minutes an episode, 10 to 12 minutes. And then the Daily Dose of Joy is literally a minute or 2 minutes.
They're both little. Okay, I knew the one was.
Yeah, they're both little. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they are.
I think listeners, even if they don't experience chronic illness, will get something from both of your podcasts because you are a light and you're just radiating such beautiful energy. So I'm so glad you're out there sharing it with the world.
Thank you. Oh, what a lovely thing to say. Thank you so much.
I so mean it. You're so welcome. You're so welcome. Laura, I so appreciate your time. Thank you for staying up to talk to me. And I'm so glad that, our conversations don't end here and that we get to continue to bump into each other in our little accountability group. So thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Shannon. It's been lovely to chat.
That's a wrap on another episode of the Having a Mom Moment podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in and for sharing this space with us today. Before you go, don't forget to check out the show notes for any links or resources mentioned in today's episode. And hey, while you're at it, why not give me a follow on Instagram and Facebook at Having a Mom Moment. You can also visit havingamaMoment.com for even more mom-inspired resources. If you've enjoyed today's conversation as much as I have, please be sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on future episodes. And it would mean so much if you leave us a glowing 5-star review on your favorite podcast platform. Until next time, remember to embrace those mom moments, find alignment in your journey, and always honor the incredible woman you are. Take care, friends, and we'll see you on the next episode.